Morning, everyone. So, the first thing I wanted to do today is try to connect with what other people are doing across America. So, Easter is a really special and holy day for billions of people across the world. And unfortunately, for a lot of people in Sri Lanka, this particular day was really difficult for a lot of people. So, we're just going to offer a moment of silence to commemorate those who lost their lives and to hope that we can find forgiveness in our hearts, to grow love so that these things don't happen in the future. So please just join me for a brief moment. Thank you. There's a lot of people here today. The house of God is full with spirit today. It's a beautiful sight. The reading I picked was from True Mother, and those are her words. And it's really different from what I'm used to hearing when True Mother or True Father talks about my life of faith, and to hear that. So this really was special to me when I read it, and I think this is one of the first times where I've really kind of heard from True Mother or True Father, their own vulnerability. That sometimes I feel a little weak or emotional. And we try to do good, but sometimes we can't do that and we get discouraged. And that's not what I'm used to hearing, but it's really comforting. It makes me feel closer to them that, they feel it too. Of course they did. They didn't always tell us about it, but I'm sure they're very aware of what it feels to be frustrated when you're trying to make an impact and make a difference. So that's why I wanted to pick that. So earlier this year, I was asked to be the District 6 representative to go to Korea and attend one of the holy days happening. And I was really grateful to go. I'm very grateful that I got to go and be there. And I didn't have a lot of time to prepare. I got asked, and it was 1 or 2 weeks later that I would be going. And so I was trying to figure out, can I make this? Can I make this work? What do I need to do to prepare? And so I found out that I could go. And I realized that because it's international travel, and for the number of days that I could go, there was going to be one full day from sunrise to sunset that I would be in Korea and not traveling. And so really quickly, I tried to just empty myself and say, God, what can you show me? What are you trying to show me? What can I learn? What can I hear by being here? Because I don't want this to go to waste, or for me to be sent there and have nothing to bring back. And God delivered. God gave me experience and a message, and I just took some notes. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So in being there, the first kind of thing I did in that day was get up for a pledge service. And it's 4 o'clock in February in Korea. It's cold, it's chilly, my body is adjusting to the time zone and on and off sleep. This was right after the pledge service, and that's up the hill. You can see all the mountains, and there's still some Christmas decorations up, and it was just really nice to see things. And I just wanted to have that there because that was the day. That's what I saw, and that's what I felt. It's just really something that kind of puts your heart at ease. I've been to the Grand Canyon before, and just the vastness of it, it just kind of makes you stop for a second and just accept that someone loves you this much to make the earth so beautiful. And so the pledge service was a time to attend True Parents and to offer prayers, to have representatives from around the world just sincerely offer a bow to True Parents. And this was the 59th True Parents birthday celebration, and this was just the beginning of it. And when we took our seats kind of in where we were at, we had these little kind of bento boxes sort of, and there was food inside, and just kind of like a light breakfast. And I thought that was really nice that we could enjoy. So I saw some other people eating. We were just kind of waiting for things to get started, and I said, okay, I'll just kind of do as the locals do. I think that's probably a best safe bet for me. And One of the things inside the box was a rice ball or mochi, and it was sweet. And I was looking at the food and I was like, okay, I think I know what that tastes like. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it'll be good enough. Um, and when I looked at the rice ball, and I was thinking, this is sweet. And it just looking at this and holding it made me realize something about how we've come full circle from where we started. So a mud hut in war-torn Korea, built by cardboard, is kind of some of our origin, some of our history. And now we have holy grounds in Korea. And in True Father's autobiography, he talked about his family when Korea was occupied by Japan and how it was a very different nation from what it is today. And despite his family's situation of just trying to survive, of feeding your own kids and farming and hoping for a great harvest and being able to stay warm and fed through a cold winter, his parents always said, without fail, feed whoever comes through. And that's the environment that True Father grew up in, is extreme unconditional love of living for the sake of others. And I think for his parents that might have been kind of terrifying. Like, will my kids resent me because it seems like I'm loving other people who pass through here more than I love my own children? And I think that did True Father a lot of good and his family a lot of good. That's such a beautiful way to live. Even if, some guests are passing through and it's winter and you want them to have a warm bed, and so you sleep in a barn so they can have a nice bed for one night. That was what he grew up in, and I think for his family, to have something that was sweet, that wasn't sustenance, that you didn't need to survive, it could have been worth more than its weight in gold. Or if you think about North Korea today, something that you don't need but is kind of just something that's nice to enjoy, I think that's something that's really rare and hard to come by, and that's unfortunate that that's the case, but yeah, it was just a little piece of food, but it was something that God really just showed me. The box itself that it was in, it had a nice little message on part of it, and maybe Mr. Takanaka, you applied this already, but it just said, have a blessed day, or may this food fill your soul and let you be happy. And there's a lot of ways to reach people and to bring God into someone's life. And this is a very, very simple, but I think a really powerful and meaningful way to do it, that you don't just have to buy something from me. You don't have to just have a transaction with me or an interaction. May you be well in what you do. May you be blessed. May you be happy. There's a lot of ways to just, bring that back. It's like a fortune cookie, but it's more direct and well-wishing to you. And I just thought of that. It's something that I could bring back, that in somewhere where I'm interacting with someone, I could just leave them with very simple words and just kind of let God do the rest. So this was probably around 7 o'clock once the sun was up. It was a little cloudy, but it can be really beautiful to see the clouds kind of interacting with the mountains and how close they are together. And after the pledge service, we went onto the birthday program, and there was just so much for me to receive by being there. I was really surprised. So that was kind of the banner that was out front, just outside of the Chungcheon Peace Center. I'm sure many of you have been there. And this is the kind of event where we're probably watching it from a live broadcast to connect in at 8 p.m. at night, maybe on a Sunday, maybe on a Friday, and it's 10 a.m. in Korea, and we're trying to catch what's there. There's a nice message or a nice testimony. Maybe someone is being recognized for really outstanding work that they've done in changing the world. But being there, I was so grateful for. And in the program, there was a specific part. It was kind of a prayer ceremony. It wasn't just one prayer. There was someone who was representing different faiths of all sorts. There were two Christians, I think there were two Muslims, like preachers or clerics or imams offering that, and they represent large communities where they come from. And there was a Buddhist and a couple of other representatives, and that was profound to me. It's amazing that all of them were there to acknowledge True Mother. I think just by being there, they were affirming True Parents and True Mother. And in their prayers too, specifically, they called out True Mother and they said, please, God, protect her, help her in her work. And I think for people representing Islam to be there is especially important. Islam is a very devoted faith. There's an emphasis on a one true God and to not have false idols. And when Muslims go to pray and they do it 5 times a day of offering bows at certain times of the day, there's nothing there of any kind of depiction. There's no depiction of God. There's no representation or a portrait of the Prophet Muhammad, because they're very serious about that. That's how they express their sincerity and their dedication to having one true God and never being led astray to something else. And to affirm True Parents like that from a Muslim, it's amazing, True Parents are really doing it. And yeah, I think it's just proof that it's a universal message that, our families are a starting point. They're the school of love that children need to be raised up in and connected to God and grow and develop from there. And the other thing is that this wasn't a blessing ceremony. It wasn't a spiritual cosmic Foundation Day event. This was True Parents' birthday. They came all there to pray and celebrate True Parents and celebrate their birthday with them. I think that's just another sign that there's really something special that True Parents are doing, and being able to reach anyone of any tradition, background, religion, or part of the world. So there was the stage set up, and there's a lot of different things that happen. But one of the things that will happen with Holy Days is there will often be a play, and it'll depict something in the Bible or talk about True Parents' life course. And I really tried to understand what was the reason behind why it's there, because it's maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes. It could be longer, it could be shorter, depending on what the play is. But it's a major portion of it. It really is a production event. And I tried to understand, why is True Mother putting this in here? Because I'm not understanding the heart behind it. And I think it took me just being there to really get it. It's actually really hard to sit in this chapel and see a live broadcast and connect to the energy and the emotion that's in the room. But being there, I realized these plays are really good. And I know that we hire professionals to do it for like a lot of the character performances or for those who are singing. But everyone who isn't one of those actors, they are one of our own young people. They'll be dancing in the background, there'll be backup vocals in a large choir group. And I don't think that's a bad thing, that we do hire people to really perform something special, to emulate True Parents and to honor them and tell their story. I'm sure they have questions about it and they want to learn more. It's a way for us to branch out and bring True Parents to other people. And then the play itself, I think they're actually really good. It's hard to understand by not being there. I don't think ballet would be so interesting or an orchestra would be so interesting if you're just watching a video of it. But being there, it's kind of really hard not to feel how powerful these performances are. The play kind of focused on True Mother's course and Jesus' course, and it was showing kind of different points in True Mother's life and different areas of Jesus' ministry when he was alive. And one thing I noticed was a reoccurring theme of misguided virtue that led people astray or further hampered God's will to have humanity be one family. And I'm sure there's many examples that you can point out in the Bible, but there are two that I just really spoke to me and I really noticed. So this play actually had, the ability to talk about the fall of man and to show it That's a really heavy topic. That's really amazing that they can do it successfully. And it showed Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, and Lucifer was there. And the way that he expressed himself, the way he talked to Eve, was what really is what caught on to me. When Lucifer was tempting Eve in the Garden of Eden, he was explaining it in a way that by eating of this fruit, you will become like God. And that is in the Bible. That God doesn't want you to do it because you'll become like him and you could rival him in some way. But the way he described it in the play was that you'll become like God, but not only that, you'll fulfill what he's asking you to do. The 3 great blessings, you will honor them and do actually what God is asking you to do, and you'll become a co-creator just like God asked you to be after you reach all 3 of the 3 great blessings. And when he was explaining it like that, I know he had more selfish intentions behind that, but the point he was trying to make to someone else was that this is virtuous, this is right, this is what you're supposed to do, and this is what God wants. When in reality, it wasn't. It was coming from a bad place, and it was goodness and holiness in a masquerade. It was selfishness pretending to be goodness or virtue. And there was another part that I wanted to highlight with Jesus and his ministry. So this is in the Gospel according to John. Lazarus had just been, the part I'm going to read is where Jesus had just resurrected Lazarus, and Mary and Martha had a certain part in that, and it's chapter 12, and it's verses 3 to 8, and I'm just going to read this here. Mary therefore took a pound of expensive ointment made from pure nard, and anointed the feet of Jesus and wiped his feet with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, who was about to betray Jesus, said, "Why was this ointment not sold for 300 denarii and given to the poor?" He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief, and having charge of the money bag he used to help himself to what was put into it. Jesus said, "Leave her alone, so that she may keep it for the day of my burial. For the poor you always have with you, but you do not always have me." There's something unique about submitting yourself to someone the way that Mary did in this place. Wiping someone's feet with your hair sounds like a punishment, but that's an extreme show of submission, of love and attendance. A bow is traditionally you are offering your head to the person you are bowing to, and you'll be grateful if it's still attached to your body when you rise. And I think we now have more the expectation that our head is attached when we come up from a bow, but that's kind of the history and the context behind it. And using your hair to wipe someone's feet that are wearing sandals and walk through the dust and the dirt, wherever it is, you don't have a hot shower that you can come home to clean your hair out. That's an incredible show of love and submission. And this is Mary's offering to Jesus, how she's trying to honor him and show, I'm really grateful. You saved Lazarus. You resurrected him from the dead. I believe you are who you say you are, and I want to prove it to you, and I just want to do something for you, Jesus. I would like to anoint you. And so again, this comes up, the misguided virtue. Judas says, he's trying to follow this point, that we should have mercy and have grace for the poor, the meek, and the humble. And says, why not use that expensive oil and sell it and give it to the poor? And Judas as well, he had less than heavenly things in mind for himself, but he can still argue his point, even if he meant it, that shouldn't we be consistent in what we're doing? I mean, wouldn't this help the poor? Wouldn't that be a good thing to do? But the reason it wasn't is that this was someone's offering to Mary, or Mary's offering to Jesus. And I think Jesus has a just great way of explaining things. Whenever he's questioned, he always answers with better questions. He always expressed something that you really couldn't take away from what he was doing in raising people up and trying to bring them back to God. So the plays and this kind of celebration, I think there's a real importance and significance to it. It's a holy day and it's meant to be celebrated. I'm still learning more and more about what it means to celebrate these holy days. It's a new tradition in the history of humanity, for the Day of All Things, for True Parents' Birthday, for True Heavenly Parents' Day, these kinds of things. And you could be the greatest person on earth. You could be the true mother, the true father of heaven, earth, and humankind. And you could have changed the world. If there was no one to celebrate your birthday with, it would really feel something's missing. You know, what does it mean if I don't have a family or friends or an environment where I can share joy and celebrate with? And that's what I think true parents are at. They're celebrating with us. This is their birthday celebration, and there are other celebrations throughout the year too for other holy days, and they're celebrating with us. I think true mother and true father both are very understanding of how much people have sacrificed for this movement, of their time and their resources and other opportunities that they could pursue that would make their lives more comfortable or their family life more comfortable. And I think, by celebrating together and making it nice and enjoyable, we're more prone and more likely to be happy in celebrating. That's what I hope we can do. We can be happy when we celebrate. And I think she understands maybe we don't get to travel as much with our family or take a vacation as much as we would like. And so True Mother's bringing it to us so we can do that together as a family. And I just wanted to appreciate that and feel it. So I'm going to try and take that renewed perspective with holy days and try and appreciate them for what they are. So I'm kind of wrapping up here, but there was a final part of the ceremony that the MC introduced as food is love and love is hope. And I think that's a profound statement that could be a sermon all on its own. But it was just a nice little ceremony. And it's hard to see up there, but that crowd of people all gathered there. Some of the people had received awards or recognition from True Mother, and True Mother's up there as well. And they're gathered around a big bin of rice, and it was enormous. I mean, you could fit people inside. It could be like a small swimming pool or a jacuzzi. And it's full of rice, and there are different sections, almost like a pie chart, equally divided with different things that you would make in bibimbap, a Korean dish. There were spinach, and there were eggs, and meat, and carrots, and all kinds of things. And what they were doing is they were having a bibimbap mixing ceremony. And after a countdown, they all just mixed it, and they kept mixing and mixing. They were going for a few minutes. They were getting really into it. And I think it's just something that is part of True Mother's creativity. At UPF events and peace events, there are times when different faith leaders will join together in offering water and pouring it into one bowl from different cups. And the symbolism of that, I think, is pretty easy to understand, that we're one human race, that we're all connected together, that we come from the same source, and that we come all together in the same source. And we're no longer able to distinguish from each other, or we shouldn't be able to. You don't notice the water from the Jewish person and be able to distinguish from the Christian or the Muslim when it's all mixed there together. So I don't know if you want to drink from that big pot afterwards, but I know looking at that big bowl of all kinds of goodies and delicious food that I would want to get some of that I'd want to be served a plate of that. And that was just a nice little thing that I noticed and that I appreciated that was there. And I think it just speaks to creativity. That's kind of True Mother's take on it, that we're all one human family, that no matter how we get mixed up or jumbled around, no matter how you spin it, there are so many ways that we are all the same, that we belong to the same family and to the same God. I got the chance to spend a lot of time with someone who kind of showed me around the area because I didn't know so much Korean, and it was really good to talk to him. And he shared with me a concern about True Mother, and I really tried to take it to heart. Sometimes you'll see her wearing sunglasses, and for a long time I understood that to mean she didn't want us to see her in tears or crying. And what he said was different from that True Mother could potentially be losing her eyesight, and she's trying to protect her eyes. And actually, by standing in front of us and being, literally in the spotlight, she's kind of making a sacrifice by being there. She's almost literally sacrificing her body by doing that. And I wanted to tell you this because it can be really special or especially nice to know what to pray for. We want to pray for our two parents' health and strength, but it's also nice to know something specific. What can we target in our prayers and our love for them? So what I would say is you can pray for True Mother's eyesight, that it can be strong, that we can see her and that she can see us. She really is a living offering to us, and I hope that we can do the same to her and reflect that and comfort her heart. So in the reading, it talked about living a grateful life, more than yesterday and more tomorrow than today. And I think that I just want to take a renewed approach to my daily life and wake up and say, I'm grateful that I'm awake. I woke up. Yes. I woke up. And start from there. Gratitude is what I try to create as a habit in my life to help me navigate whatever troubles come my way. And when you start that way with positivity, with gratitude, then I think it helps. I think that's a change I need in my life and that I hope I can apply. And maybe you can ask me about it next week and see how that goes. Maybe you can try it out too. So that's what I wanted to say to all of you, and I just wanted to thank you for being here. Will you please join me in prayer? Our dearest, loving Heavenly Parent and true parents, we are overcome with gratitude for the fact that we can be alive in the best time to be alive in all of human history. By any standard, the level of understanding, of protection, of health, of opportunity is the greatest now, more so than it's ever been. And especially so because we have true parents, that the history, the examples, and the lessons of the Bible and of human history are being brought to us more clearly than ever possible before. True Father is in the spirit world now, and we may not have True Mother always. We may have each other and we may have our descendants, but we won't always have true parents. I hope that we can feel gratitude in each day, however we can, because whatever the day or the circumstances or the world brings for us, our relationship to you doesn't change. Our value to you doesn't change. It only grows. I hope that we can remember that and feel it and cherish that feeling of being loved unconditionally. We are grateful to you, and we love you, God, so much. Please be with this congregation as they seek to live in your light, in your love, throughout this week and in the days to come. We love you, God, and we offer and report this time and this day to you in the names of all Blessed Central families. Amen and adieu.